Well, hi there, everybody. Another kind of quick podcast. Maybe I'll get this out by the weekend. Not really sure. I wanted to touch on a few things that I've been watching, listening to the news, watching Tucker Carlson, and all this, and just the state of affairs in America. And wondering, am I the only one that's looking at this as if it's really a point of no return, a trigger effect, or something that's going to happen in America that's not going to be good? I mean, it'll be good for the world, but not for you and I living here in America. Because, you have the BRICS summit going on, and they're not doing this to hurt America. In fact, they don't even know really that we're around. I mean, when we think about it, it's like, are they trying to destroy our economy? It's like, no. They're at a different party in a different town, and they're not even thinking, well, I wonder what America's doing, because they're kind of tired of what America is doing. We're doing everything wrong. So they're moving along in a very positive direction with the economy and with the International Bank of Settlements creating a blockchain, kind of a digital currency, to where they can all do business with all of these different monetary programs and systems, to where, if somebody buys something from China, they might pay them in these new tokens now like Bitcoin, and then it's converted to gold or whatever China wants, and then China can buy something from Russia or us or whatever, and it's all going to flow kind of like the dollar used to do, but without the hegemony of America going, no, yes, no, do this. It's like, you live under our roof, you'll live as we tell you. And most countries are like, we don't really live under your roof. It's called the fucking sky, and we're sovereign. So this is happening, and it's a bad thing for America, but not for the rest of the world, because the rest of the world would really like a bipolar kind of system. Like, Saudi Arabia would like to be treated like Saudi Arabia wants to be treated. And they don't want any of these fucking head games going on anymore. And if you want to buy their oil, then fucking buy it. And if you don't, shut up. You want to go green? Go green. Go somewhere else. So it's getting kind of scary. And I was watching something the other day. I don't know if it was Tucker Carlson or something. And I told my wife, I said, the only thing that's going to save this country, and if any of you know me, I have railed against this thought most of my life. But how could we save America? Because you and I are quite literally afraid of the FBI and the CIA and law enforcement, and when it's used against you, you're kind of fucked. And I asked Sheriff Mack a long time ago about his Constitutional Sheriffs and Peacekeepers organization. I had called him about a customer service thing because I had ordered some of his books. But he actually answered, and we chatted a little bit. And I said, what do you do as an American? How do you find help with things regarding, being screwed over? I said, when the people you're calling, when you dial 911, show up and they're the fucking problem. Police aren't going to show up and tell planning and zoning, hey, you're trespassing, get out of here. No, they're going to write you a ticket. See, they've become the problem. Well, what do you do? Who do you call? And where do you go when the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, all these big organizations are actually the problem now? They're fucking things up. And I was thinking, well, what if, in July 9th or whatever that is, that, they try to incarcerate Trump right then and remand him off to Rikers Island. You know what, somebody going to step up like in the movies and go, I resent that. You can't do that. He's our president. And then everybody in the group goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. That shit only happens in fucking movies, okay? It never happens in real life, and not today. So I was thinking, well, I guess, you know, fucking martial law, which I hate martial law. And states can do it in America. And even, you know, well, I guess all the states would have to get together and talk to the military and go, we need martial law. Because martial law was created, and it's happened in America quite a few times, actually 80 sometimes, which I'd never known. But it's usually on a state level because of a flood or riots or something like that, to where they can actually suspend habeas corpus and go, we need to get control of this. Now, most of the time it's done by illegitimate fucktards that have power, you know, issues and control issues. But, you know, then the military could walk right in on July 9th and just 15, 20 Marines walk in and go, this is not happening. Mr. Trump, come with us. You guys in this court has been suspended. And then walk right into Congress and the Senate and go, this group, this quorum, this organization is now suspended. Go home. We're going to have new elections, but we really need to get control of a corrupt justice system, because most of the time you can't in a state declare martial law unless the court system is no longer functioning. And I think they meant that more of like a national disaster, like power lines are down or a flood and you don't have a court system. You need something that can come in like, you know, bounty, the quicker picker-upper, and just absorb that whole mess and go, okay, let's slow our roll here, step back, figure this problem out, get the lights back on, and then we'll have an adult conversation of how to get things back to normal. And that's how it kind of has to be. And like I've always said, that if a president declared martial law, then that would be a military coup. And you can't do that in America, but the states could all get together. And the reason states and governors can do that is because in the good old days, when we actually had a functioning constitution, the governors and the states could work with the militias. Not the National Guard, not the fucking army, the militias, which is what it used to be. But since they've scrambled that all and fucked it all up, the governors could still call in the National Guard and they could all get together and go, this needs to stop. We need all of you as far as the United States Army, our standing army that should not have any constitutional authority at all. But since it's there, can't you guys all just go and fucking put a hold on this for a year? Because our court system is a fucking disaster. All of the agencies we've set up to protect us, we the people, from outside threats, enemies foreign, have turned their guns on the enemy's domestic. And we're not the enemy, but they're trying to make it seem that way so they have legitimacy when they say, well, we need to protect against foreign's, you know, and domestic enemies, and you're a domestic enemy. Well, yeah, you know, if you didn't live in Disneyland, maybe. So I think it could work, because then they could just tell all the politicians, look, we're not name calling here, we're not getting into the minutia. You all must resign, and you can never run for public office again, because we gave you the keys to the car and you fucking wrecked it. And whether you were good or half good or kind of bad, or you were just sitting there going, boy, dude, you should hit the brake before we hit that tree, you still allowed the car to get wrecked. So you're all out of here. And it would be nice if, you know, the military under martial law would go, okay, we're going back to the Constitution. We're not going to rewrite the Constitution. We're not going to amend it even fucking more. What we're going to do is we're going to take it back to square one, and we're going to start from there again, and we're going to do away with some of these amendments were just fucking stupid bullshit, like the 17th Amendment. And what we want to do is kind of clean it up again and then represent it to the American people and maybe have a ratification committee or something like that to where all the state governors would ratify it again without all this fucking unicorn farts and pixie dust in it. And it's just a governing contract for America. States become sovereign. That's why states have constitutions and legislators and courts and judges, because a state is a country, just like France. They will call France a state or a country. France has its own flag, it has its own governing bodies, just like the state you live in. That's the way it was set up. And then once we had a ratification, then we could maybe, the states could get together, pick some representatives, redistrict America. Instead of having almost 1 million people in a congressional district, have no more than 40,000, which would mean we would have thousands of representatives. And each one in their state could have a capital within the state where they could meet. If it's 100 or 200 or 300 or 500 or 1,000 representatives, go there. Pick the senators, make the laws, and govern from there, and have an electoral college again where the people only pick the president through their representatives. That way the representatives have to listen to their fucking people. And if there was, no more than 40,000 in a district, it would work. It really would work. So as much as I'm afraid of it, because it can go sideways really quick, can it go more sideways than it's going right now? I don't think so. I really don't. And the states would have to stand up to the feds, which, most states, when you talk to them, they're like, oh, it's the Fed. The fucking Fed. Blame the Fed. But, if you watch that movie Numbers with the 3 black ladies that worked for NASA back in the day when they didn't have computers, so these black women were mathematicians. And one of them wants to go to school. I don't remember what state she lives in, but she has to go to court because she needs to attend some night classes to become an engineer instead of a number cruncher. And so the judge tells her, he goes, we don't really care about the Brown versus the Board of Education. That's a federal law. We don't apply ourselves and we don't govern by federal law. So you're going to need to come to court and explain to us why we should allow you to go to night classes when no other black person has done that before. Well, she goes to court, she makes her case, she wins, and she goes to court. So it wasn't just all like, no, go away, you're black, you're Mexican, you're white, you're Asian. It was a court trial. It was fair. It was legitimate. She went to court. She became an engineer at NASA. So the point to that was the courts in that state didn't give a shit about the Supreme Court or the federal laws. Because, see, the Supreme Court does not make law in spite of what people think. And so that's how it used to work, see. States made the laws. The federal government was quite literally set up to be a property management company. That's it. Very, very few authorities granted to it. Everything else was the state and the people. We are at the top, or the bottom, however you want to look at it, of the power pyramid. We're the foundation that holds up the state, and the state is part of the foundation that holds up the federal government. And we, the people, are the strength of it. But these states won't do it. They're just cowards. And my other thing I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit on my list was Idaho. Look at Idaho right now. It's like, what the fuck are these people thinking in Idaho? They've shut down 500,000 acres of water to the farmers. And you think, well, I don't eat potatoes anyway, so big fucking deal. But the reality is, I'm pretty sure this is not a state's great fucking idea, because they waited until the farmers have already planted. And one of the farmers that was talking on YouTube, actually, I just found the video on YouTube, he's like, every acre cost almost $5,000 to grow potatoes on it. That's a lot of money. If you have 100,000 acres, what's that, $5 million to just plant potatoes each year? And he goes, we'll go broke if we can't water them. They're in the ground. They're green. If we shut off the water, they're dead. We're out of business. Because this land around here, and he's showing, it's like all flat land and stuff, he goes, is useless if you can't grow food on it and you can't grow potatoes on it. It's just barren land unless you want to, have a cattle ranch, which, God forbid, the EPA don't like cows anymore because they fart. So he was going down this list of think of all the farmers. That's a lot of farmers that will go out of business. All of their workers will go out of business. We will send back most of their combines and stuff because we can't pay it, because who knows how long this harebrained fucking idea is going to go on. We can't make the payments, so we're out of business. We're broke. So the town, the workers, the potato processing plants, the dehydrators that make the flakes, that make your Ore-Ida mashed potato flakes and stuff. He's like, this will be devastating to our state. Now, nobody has said yet, oh, that was my bright fucking idea, because politicians, they really are cowards. But I'm pretty sure it has something to do with EPA. Yeah, the fucking EPA. And instead of the state going, I'm really sorry, but we're not going to do that to our farmers, if you can come up with a reason, maybe next year it might sound logical and we might go along with it a little bit, but these guys have too much money invested in their crops right now. No, just fucking no. I mean, at least Babbitt in Texas had enough balls to sit there and stand up to the federal government with their fences and stuff and go, no, we don't care. You can have as many court rulings in the Supreme Court as you want. We're keeping this border closed. Now, I'm pretty sure they've capitulated since then and, lost, because everybody loses to the federal government. Not that the federal government has a correct case. It's just that the federal government wins by virtue of everybody backing down. They win by default every fucking time. And so why doesn't the state stand up to the federal government and the EPA? Well, they're cowards. They're fucking cowards. It's either they're cowards or it's part of their design to kill us all and do away with the food, just like the 20 million chickens now, because one of them's got bird flu, maybe. I mean, I don't even believe it. And so what, they got bird flu? Fucking fry it up in pan and eat it. It doesn't transfer to people, so who the fuck cares? But, so they're killing our food supply. They're doing away with milk and dairy because it's raw and blah, blah, blah. And they're doing away with the chickens and probably the pork necks and the beef. Everything is becoming a heinous nightmare, which drives up the cost because you can still buy steak, so you just pay twice as much. Why? Because bureaucratic red tape, plain and simple. So if it's a county or 2 or 3 in Idaho, why don't the sheriffs get together and say, look, we're going to go to the farmers and tell them, keep pumping water. You paid for the electricity to run the pump it. That's your water. It's private property rights. It's on your land. It's your water. If the EPA thinks it's their water, well, show me a fucking receipt, because you didn't buy it. And we got your back. And the farmers would sit there and go, great, thank you. That's why I elected you, because you got some fucking junk in your pants. Awesome. But no, you will find that these governors and these sheriffs in Idaho will fold like cheap fucking Kmart suits. And potato prices are going to go through the fucking roof. And all that. And I'm thinking, I ought to buy a couple 100 pounds of potatoes, shred them and fucking freeze dry them because people are going to want fucking potatoes. I don't eat them, but a lot of people I know probably do. And when they can't afford them because the fucking economy's tanking because of policies like that in Idaho, I'll have mashed potatoes coming out my fucking ears. Oh, yeah. And everybody likes mashed potatoes. So these are things that when you look at independently or separately or however they present it to you, it's a slice of this and a slice of that, and they don't overload your plate, and they give you a little bit, and it's just 500,000 acres in Idaho. It's not a big fucking deal. You'll pay 5% more for potatoes next year. Never mind the fucking farmers that went bankrupt and lost their family farms. Never mind all the people that lost their jobs there in Idaho and are now on fucking welfare. Thank you, because that's what you want. Everybody on fucking welfare. So it's going to kill that state. You know, every state, if you look at it, except very few, are owned by the government now. BLM. You know, especially states like on my side of the map, you know, from the Mississippi over here, you know, like, you know, Las Vegas or Nevada, Arizona, Idaho, a lot of them like Oregon, yeah, maybe parts of California, 70 to 80% owned by BLM, the federal government, who cannot constitutionally own land, and yet, well, by golly, they do. And where are we, the American people, going, hey, fuck you, go home? You know, when have you ever seen somebody talking in a congressional fucking committee and the person they're talking to, like Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or any of these people with money that they're talking to, just laugh and go, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, Congressman. Did you study business or did you get your degree in Jack in the Box? What the fuck is wrong with you? Or just laugh at them and going, I can't believe that just came out of your mouth, Senator. That is one of the lowest IQ things I have ever heard. And then when everyone's, how dare you say that? It's like, how dare I say it? I can back it up with facts, you dumbass. You're stupid. Why are you even talking to me? I have a Harvard degree in business. I run a multi-billion-dollar company, not because I got elected to do that, but because I put my money, my blood, my sweat, my tears, my family's fortune into that business. And you're talking to me like you understand business, you stupid fucking imbecile. But no. What do? We put him on the throne. Look, that's Senator fucking Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, kill everyone. Never found a war that he didn't want you to fight. You know, talking about we should bomb Russia. Are you a fucking moron? Why doesn't a general just go, what are you talking about, Mr. Graham? I mean, honestly, explain your comment. Don't get mad because I just laughed at you because you're an imbecile. Explain your comment. Why would we bomb Russia? First of all, they've been our ally 90% of our existence, which is like, you know, 250 years to 4,000 years of Russia and China. Why would we bomb them? Oh, because of Ukraine, an undemocratic, corrupt fucking country? Oh, yeah, good idea. Why don't we fucking drop some nukes on them so when they drop their bigger than ours nuclear fucking stockpile on us, we're all dead. You too, Lindsay. And if you're not, and I'm not, by the time this smoke clears, I'm going to fucking shoot you. Explain what you just said to the American people, why you think we should go into a nuclear holocaust. I'll wait. You got an answer? Lindsey Graham would just babble and probably piss himself. None of these politicians have enough brains to run a fucking food cart down the street at a construction site. They're that stupid and vapid. And yet here they are talking about bombing them and invading China, and let's go over here. And oh, by the way, let's fund Israel with some more money, to commit genocide. And I don't care if you agree with me or not. Genocide has a meaning. You can look it up, and that is what Israel's doing. It's not me. I didn't invent the fucking word. So this is what we have running our country. And meanwhile, while you and I are just working our asses off trying to pay our rent and keep the air conditioner on through a hot summer and maybe have enough money to water a small yard of grass and go out to dinner once a month maybe on date night or something. Yeah, so what are we supposed to do as Americans? Just sit there and hope that they don't take us to war? Hope that our politicians do something correct? Or should we just sit there and wait for another election every 4 years? No, something needs to happen. I don't know what it is, but we can all taste it in the air. We can feel it. It's there. And we know it. And what we're left with is no way of fixing it. You and I can't fix it. Hell, we can barely fix the problems going on in our local communities, in our small towns. We just have lost our grip on what we used to hold dear to us as a constitutional republic. And granted, it took generations, probably from Wilson and FDR onward, to get to this point to where we're now looking around and going, fuck, we dropped that ball. What are we going to do now? And we have options, but they've all been co-opted. You could normally go to the court system and maybe get some help, but you're not going to. The Supreme Court has ruled against private property so many times it's ridiculous. So we've reached that point to where we've been like the frog in water, but now we're dying. We're literally realizing that we can't jump out of the pot anymore because our muscles are cooked, our brains are fried, we're dead. The only thing we have left to do is die and get served on a platter to our rich overlord masters. And it's fucked up. So when I use the phrase martial law, I don't do it lightly. I think martial law, done improperly, would be as bad as any other thing they could do to us. But what other choice do we have? If you go and protest, you'll be arrested. If you write your congressman, you'll probably be arrested. If you become a YouTube influencer, someone that actually moves the fucking needle like Alex Jones was doing for quite a while, they'll just destroy you. Straight up destroy you. Elon Musk got it made with the Twitter thing because he also makes electric cars, which these politicians really get kind of a hard on thinking about, green energy, and he's got SpaceX to where he's sending up all these rockets with, our stuff on them too, and we can't do it because NASA's fucking bankrupt, and we've been paying Russia to get us to the International Space Station because we can't seem to, fucking think our way out of a paper bag these days. But for the most part, what are you going to do? I spent 2.5 years fighting the city on something that is innocuous and benign as private property laws, and because I refused to get a building permit. Because their own ordinances were written wrong, but they were written in such a way to where they could just sit there and go, well, we think that applies to you, so fuck you. And so, I could have spent more money and got a lawyer and appealed it and maybe got a judge in the county that's not a douchebag paid-off puppet that would have said, you're right. And then I could have sued the city for a diminution of value and got some money or something like that. But it's like, Look at all the shit I would have had to go through. At least you know what the founding fathers had to do? They tried, they tried, they tried. They didn't have the government so far up their ass that they felt like they were being raped in a prison yard. No, all they had to do was deal with some British and stuff like that. And then it got a little worse. And then they got really pissed off about a 2 or 3 cent tea tax or something like that. And then it started to snowball because they said, what we have here that we don't want is taxation without representation. That's all they wanted was representation. That's it. And the king kept laughing at him, pretty much like we feel now. You tell your city, well, wait, I have a right to not get a permit, and they laugh at you. You tell the police, I did nothing wrong. This is not a safety violation. They fucking laugh at you. You write your congressman, they send you back a boilerplate stupid answer. It says, yeah, I really appreciate you thinking about this issue. I'll take it under advisement. Basically, I'm going to laugh at you. We have no representation. And when you really take a good whiff of it, it used to be like you could smell the freedom in the air, 150 years ago. You could feel it. You could eat it. You could become rich without the government going, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? How much are you going to pay them? You're going to do this? You're going to do that? And eventually it's like, fuck it. The last great rich families were Rockefellers and them that were able to, become oil tycoons and railroad tycoons and shipping tycoons and stuff because they just did it. You watch a special on Rockefeller and he's laying his own oil pipe out there. Well, he didn't, get down and do it, but he made agreements with the farmers along the way and bought pipe and just started laying it on the fucking ground. He didn't have EPA going, what size pipe is that? How thick is that? What's the PSI rating on that pipe? What if it leaks on the farmer's land? It's like I'm paying him a fucking grip of cash to have it there. I'm sure he'll shovel it up and deal with it and call me and I'll fix it because I don't want it leaking on the land because I don't get paid for it when it leaks on the land. No, everything is bureaucratic red tape now. A guy like Rockefeller or Carnegie or them, they wouldn't have had a chance. The game has changed. It's still a game, granted, and you can still make a lot of money, granted that too. But you got to be like so far ahead of the multimillionaires 60, 70 years ago. They were just hardworking guys that said, well, if I need an oil line, I'll just build it myself. Fuck it. Not now. You're going to spend 10, 15 years in court and litigation just to fucking look at all the oil lines we were going to build just recently before before Biden got in there and fucked everything all up. Years and years of debating and and talking and chit-chatting with tribes and people and farmland and the EPA and all these government agencies that don't have any skin in the game. They can care less if you go bankrupt. Talk, whack, whack, whack. And then maybe in 10, 15 years, you can open your business. And you're like, why are you holding me back? This will cure cancer. Well, according to the FDA, it might not. People could die. Oh, like all the people dying of cancer? Yeah, more. Maybe more. It's just like, you can't do dick. Now, this is totally off the fucking topic, but it's kind of not. You have to look at it and go, do you see it? Do you smell it? Do you taste it? It used to be like orange blossoms, and you could smell it, and now it's just a whiff in the wind. Maybe during that season, if the sun ain't too fucking hot, because I used to live in Mesa, and there was, back in the 70s and 80s, boy, when it was orange season, you just walked outside and boom, you smelt them orange blossoms. This is like awesome. Unless the wind was blowing the other way, you smelt them. You could see them. There were so many of them, they were everywhere. And now, 10 years ago, when I lived there or was in there, visiting and stuff, you go outside and you go, And all you smell is traffic and asphalt and concrete and people and horns and stuff. And once in a blue moon, if the wind is blowing just fucking right out of Mesa, kind of right into you smell it, but it's just barely. That's what freedom is like now. You might catch a whiff of it if you're really fucking lucky. And you might even get to taste it once in a while. But not anymore. It's not like it used to be. We need somebody to stand up. And you and I cannot stand up to the FBI and the CIA and the NSA and the big fucking brother and the deep state. Tried that on January 6th. I'm pretty sure that was the last peaceful protest you will ever see in America again. There'll be something boiling underneath like the fucking Yellowstone caldera, but eventually it's going to stop being like Old Faithful and you have a little peaceful protest. And wasn't that cute? Arrest all them motherfuckers. So what's going to happen? It's going to boil over. And it will boil over if the military doesn't enact martial law and actually do it right with the state's help. And just, I'm talking about just have all of the 500 or 600 fucking, resignations written and filled out and go, Senator Graham, sign right here. Or else you'll go to prison. We'll have fucking tribunals and you will be found guilty. You're violating your constitutional oath. Do you want to take that chance? Here's a plea bargain. Resign now. Never serve politics again. I don't even want you to be a fucking dog catcher. Go home, get drunk, and shut the fuck up. And then they're all resigned, and now it's all run. Martial law will keep the lights on and keep everything working, and a lot of this government bullshit can go the fuck away, like Ramaswamy says. You could fire 90% of them, and this country would keep on rolling. The street lights would work. You and I would go to work. Everything would be fine. The sky would not fall. Now, let me know what you think, because, like I said, I don't like the concept even of martial law. But what other choice do we have? And don't fucking email me and with, oh, well, we could vote. You could go out and run for office and maybe you could make a change. Save the fucking smoke that you're going to blow up my skirt for someone who actually believes that shit. So what could we do? What? I mean, you look at the economy, it's this fucking close to collapsing. Our dollar is dead. It's just running on momentum. It's like a snake response after its head's been cut off. And eventually, with BRICS and all that, it'll be beheaded and there won't be any venom to even bite you when you pick it up. But it'll keep whipping around like it's fucking alive. But it is dead. Fucking dead. So it's going to come to a crescendo. Shit's going to fucking hit the fan. And everything's going to go to hell. On that last note, I've talked about this before. Isaac Asimov's book, The Foundation Trilogy, talks about similar things in a galaxy far, far away to where the empire is collapsing. It's inevitable. The writing is on the wall. It's going to collapse. And this one mathematician says, we can shorten that period of anarchy from 20,000 years. Of course, this is a big empire. It's like thousands of planets. Down to 5,000 if we do the right things. And the whole series is about that, trying to rebuild what once was. America will collapse. It's inevitable. There's no other way it can be fixed. Even if they put a Band-Aid on it and they stop the bleeding, it's not going to be in remission for very long. It'll just start right back up. It'll get worse. Every time it starts back up, it'll get worse. And eventually it will collapse. What you and I need to do is have our fucking heads screwed on straight enough to where maybe we can shorten that 500-600 year period when America no longer exists down to maybe 50 years, maybe 100 years, to where if we prepared and got our heads screwed on straight and our children's heads screwed on, and we can get people to look at the old Constitution, maybe start a second America in the background where no one knows it's happening, to where people are studying and learning the Constitution and how it really worked at its base level, to where we can read these things and go, oh, I understand why now American citizens never voted for the president. The states did, because the president was set up to be elected by the states, because the states were made up of the people, and therefore the people created the presidency, and therefore they filled that spot. The president didn't handle state affairs or local affairs within the country. He handled international affairs outside the country, which is what we'll need, because when we collapse within, we'll need a strong president that can hold back or be a bulwark against the many enemies we have that might feel that this is our fault, what's happening to them. So we'll need to keep them out to where we can rebuild, keep the fire away with a firewall to say, stop. That's what our president will need to do. And we'll need a second America, bunch of patriots that understand the Constitution just the way the founding fathers did, and understand why they put those words in there, because words had meaning. They understood what shall not be infringed really meant. And so you're going to need those people that can pick up the pieces and put it back together again. And it'll never be that Ming vase that broke. It'll have to be a new one, but they will understand how to make it as good as. And that's the only hope we have as a nation. And it will be beyond your life and mine. But that's what will have to happen. Like the founding fathers, they created the Constitution not for themselves to enrich their lives, but for their posterity. And there's a Latin word for it, and I don't remember what it was. But they did it for us today. It was long term. So rather than getting all caught up in whether Trump's going to go to jail or, oh my God, did Hunter Biden just do that? He was found guilty on gun charges, so now the Republicans have to defend him because we believe in the Second Amendment. It's like, fucking stop. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. That funnel cloud is coming for us, and there's no way to get out of its way. It will do what it does, and if it misses your house and your second America and goes around and you survive it, start rebuilding it properly, not haphazardly. And to do that, you need to understand the mechanics and the construction and the techniques, just like International Building Code applies to your house. Will you understand how the Constitution worked and why it worked and what made it perfect? It was quite literally alien technology, something we did not understand at that time except a very few, founders. So it might as well have been alien technology. And all it said to do was do not open the hood and fuck with it. And we fucked with it and we broke it. You need to get the manual out, Federalist Papers and all that, and start studying. And oh my God, is it boring? Yes, it is. But if we're going to save it, it's got to be just like a college class. You need to study and cram and take tests and look at things and read things from Chris Ann Hall, a constitutional lawyer, and people, not paid for lawyers that say, I'm a constitutional lawyer, like, so many of them that think that stare decisis and these things now apply. They don't. They never did, and they never should. That is how you can save this country, America number 2.0, for your great-grandchildren. And that's what I try to do, and I'm terrible at it, teaching and all that shit. But if somebody with the gift of gab and the ability to do things without fucking pissing everyone off and needing to be a an influencer on YouTube, start in your town. Talk to your neighbors. Go, what can we do when this falls apart? Well, I don't know. Let's get together every Friday and have a fucking beer and write some shit down and say, what do we do when this breaks? Oh, how did they fix it 250 years ago? Well, let's read all that shit. Oh, that's what was in place to stop that from happening. We don't need to relitigate the fucking Constitution again. So that's how you're going to do it. So it's going to be done. And you know what? It may be being done right now. I don't know. But it's going to have to be underground. It's going to have to be covert, because they will come and stomp you into the dirt if they find out what you're doing. Because it's not like they're going, oh, thank God you're finding a solution to this shitstorm we call American politics. No, they're going, why are you fucking trying to take my power? Lindsey Graham would rather shoot you than discuss the legitimacy of a war. He'd have his goons fucking shoot you. So maybe that's the way we do it. Maybe. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'll have to do a lot of video and editing on this one because my camera freaked out and stuff like that. And I went a little bit long. And I think the summary that I've just laid out for you is way more important than a lot of the buildup. So I'll talk to you all later. I hope I helped you out in some way. Don't give up hope, even though hope is dead. There's something we can do. It's just going to have to be done step by step. We're going to have to get the owner's manual to the Constitution out, start reading it, so when the engine blows up, we can fix it. Otherwise, we're fucking doomed. PrepperGuy.com. I love you guys. Go there. And we'll see you. Have a great one.
We've made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back.
I'm your huckleberry.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
That's just my game.